Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. We want to thank you for watching our channel. We appreciate the views that we get, and we realize we're not a professional channel. Our videos consist of me having a thought or idea and asking my wife to grab a cell phone and make a video. We don't have a professional camera, but even though we're not a professional channel, we do make these to hopefully help somebody and maybe answer a few questions that you may have, or you may hear some things and want to know what you should do or what not to do. And because we realize that we're not paranoid, but we live in a day where home invasions take place, people breaking in, and we know that you've got no doubt family and loved ones and friends that you care about. And it even happened to me. I mean, I've been married almost 10 years, but right before I was married, we was engaged to be married. At that time, I lived not far from here, and it's broad daylight. And I lived right across from the post office, and the postmaster called me at work in broad daylight and said, somebody just went in your house. And sure enough, in broad daylight, I mean, people was around and about, that they busted in broad daylight, and this is, thankfully I wasn't married at the time, because had I been and my wife been there, who knows what could have happened. But we hear talk, and I was in a store a while back, about this non-lethal choices for home defense. And I was there at a store, me and my wife and children, and there was a man just talking. He was talking to me, we were just chatting, and he was asking me a few questions and telling me about what kind of gun he's wanting me to buy 20 gauge for shotgun, and I was just talking to him. Well, he had a friend there that just was adamant that he not get a gun. He said, you don't need a gun. He said, I use a ball bat. He said, a ball bat's all you need. He was telling me, what all he was going to do with that ball bat. Of course, I didn't get into a confrontation. Everybody is free in America to choose what best means to defend yourself and your family. But I do want to take a minute to discuss some of these ideas about non-lethal ways to defend your home or your family. Now, I do understand that a ball bat can be lethal. There's no doubt. But I'm going to demonstrate here in a minute about a ball bat or a golf club or an axe handle or anything blunt, object, nightstick or what have you. And also we hear a lot about pepper spray or wasp spray or so some non-lethal ways to protect yourself. The problem with those are, and I've been around pepper spray and it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. But it's a fact that our law enforcement and even some military training where they get sprayed with pepper spray and they have to fight through it. Part of the state police training here in our state, they had to get sprayed with pepper spray and fight through it and still finish and do your objective. Well, the problem with pepper spray is if the good guys can fight through it, so can the bad guys, okay? And the same thing with wasp spray, and we realize you can buy that for very cheap at the dollar store or whatever. Well, the problem is all you're dependent on is a little nozzle. What if that nozzle breaks? Or what if it's turned in the wrong way? If it's in the middle of the night and you're scared and it's dark, what if you spray yourself? It's just, I know, people, we try to be as non-confrontational as we can, and we don't want to hurt anybody, and I understand that, but what we got to realize is it happens, okay? And we're on the defensive. And really, if you've got an alarm system and a dog outside and locks on your door, and they come through all that, that is their warning. Also, I've heard people say, like a shotgun, they say, well, I'm going to, that sound that the shotgun makes. I probably should have got one demonstrated it, but they're going to, use the action of the pump and put one in the chamber and say that noise is going to scare the bad guy off. Well, here's the thing. When you do that, what happens if in the night or you're scared, you short stroke it and you don't go down all the way on that shotgun and it doesn't chamber around? Or what if the bad guy doesn't hear that? Or what if the bad guy doesn't flee? The problem is when you've done that, if you're not ready to use that shotgun, you just simply made a noise to hope it scares him away, and that non-lethal, hopefully that sound will scare him away. The problem is you just give away your position. Now, your house, nobody knows it like you. Nobody knows where the nooks and crannies and couches and chairs and walls are like you do. You've got the tactical advantage. Well, when you make a noise like that and a sound, it may scare them off, and hopefully it does, but I do not recommend that, and I'll tell you why. Like I said, if you short stroke, if you don't get around in there, and they continue to come, then they realize where you're at. They may have a firearm. And same thing with these sprays and all these other. We said in other videos, we don't want to hurt anybody, but they're the ones that make the choice, not us. They're the ones that make the choice. As I said, once they come through the alarm system and the camera system and the dogs and the doors and the deadbolts, once they come that far, that is their warnings, okay? The dog barking's their warnings. The alarm going off's their warnings. That's why we've got locks on our doors, and that is their warning. And if they keep missing warning after warning after warning after warning, then they leave us no choice. And that is certainly why I don't want to use pepper spray or depend on wall spray, because an attacker or somebody in that mindset that is that determined to go over and above all those steps and all those obstacles to get in, they have a bad intent in mind, no doubt. And like I said, as an instructor, we always teach we're responsible for every round. We've got to be responsible gun owners, but we realize that we are responsible to be able to protect ourselves with our rights to keep and bear arms. And I know the Second Amendment was for the right to keep and bear arms for not just the government and tyranny, but also for personal protection as well. And that's simply what we're saying. So I do not recommend a lot of these non-lethal ways to stop a threat. And also there's many other ways, tasers and stuff. But a lot of those tasers, you got to get close enough to them, or there's just a lot of things that's out there. I know people mean well, and there's even rounds like low recoil rounds, and there's even shot shells out of pistols and stuff. But here's the thing: low recoil rounds, and they may be great to train with if you don't, you want to save your shoulder and you want to shoot a lot of rounds. You say, that less recoil will help me in training, and that's fine. But as far as when it comes to home defense, those low recoil rounds, all that means is less power. Okay, so what I would recommend is, like, if you've got a small frame wife and she don't want to, and you're using a shotgun, instead of using like a 12 gauge something, maybe use a 20 gauge. A woman with a small pad on the stock would have no problems with a 20 gauge, but I do not recommend those reduced recoil rounds, because the reason it's reduced recoil is because it's less power, less force, less energy, and that's something to really keep in mind and bear in mind. But I want to demonstrate now at this time why I'm not a big fan of like axe handles or ball bats or golf clubs or what have you in a home invasion or in a house defending yourself scenario. Now this is the absolute smallest bat I could find, so I can't tell you how the video is going to turn out. So that I know there's going to probably be somebody say, "What's the biggest bat?" But this is the smallest T-ball, tiny bat you can get. So you can't get a smaller bat than this, okay? So, or the golf club, I had a golf club I was going to use, and it's even longer than this. So this is the smallest case scenario that you can have for a bat. And I want to show you why it's, and that's what that guy says. Well, I'll have a bat and I'll do this and I'll do that. And without being rude or disrespectful, I want to roll my eyes and think to myself, you're going to get out of the bed in the middle of the night and do this and do that. It's not going to happen. I'm not being mean. I'm not being critical. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. You need to be able to defend yourself in a reasonable manner. I know you can see Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris do it, but we're not Bruce Lee. We're not Chuck Norris. We're the average Joe, and the average Joe with a ball bat inside the house in close quarters. I'm going to show you what can happen. If there's a perpetrator in my house and I come out of the bedroom going to defend myself and I go to swing this bat, okay, if I'm a lefty, if I go to swing this bat, and if I try to go over the hip, you see what's going to happen? I'm not going to be able, any way I want to try to swing this, there's no way I can swing this little bat unless I start trying to do something like this, and that's not going to get him off of me. And even if I get him out to the open area there, if I go to take a swing, there's just too many things that can happen to this ball bat. And the problem, again, with the ball bat, it's kind of like taking a knife to a gunfight. Just because you don't want it to be a gunfight does not mean it won't be a gunfight. Just because you don't want to bear arms does not mean that guy that just kicked in your door don't want to bear arms. So when you go take a big swing and you hit something, that takes all the force out of it. You're not going to be able to defend yourself. And these are just some thoughts that we want you to just think about, because it seems like there's a big push and there's a lot of people that really want to do the non-lethal approach. But again, if they're going to leap the hurdle of your dogs outside, or they're going to leap the hurdle of an alarm system, they're going to leap the hurdle of your locks and deadbolts on your door, I'm not sure that a wasp spray is going to be enough deterrent to keep you and your family safe, or pepper spray. And as I said earlier in the video, if the good guys can fight through pepper spray, the bad guys that's that determined, that may be on dope or what have you, they can overcome it too. And again, this is I know it's not a professional channel. This is more just like a neighbor visit, a friendly visit. We're just trying to help somebody, because we want you to think and keep your family and friends safe, because to think it won't happen to me or that happens a long way off. I've said in the other video about the consistent carry video, I've actually had to draw my firearm. I actually had to do that on vacation, as I've said in the video, or like I've told you in this video, they broke into my house in broad daylight. Thank God I wasn't married at the time, but what if I would have been, and my wife would have been home? What if I would have had kids? And especially if you're a dad or whatever, a husband that maybe works away, and your wife and kids are going to be home, you need to think about what would we do, what would we steps would we take to keep us safe. And I've got friends that are in law enforcement. They tell you to arm yourself. That's what they tell you. The ones I know, and the reason they tell you that is they're good guys, but 10 minutes is a great response time. You cannot ask for any better response time than 10 minutes. But you know how long 10 minutes is? If somebody's in your house that's leaped them hurdles and all you've got is pepper spray to defend yourself, if they really are that determined of a foe to, as we said, get past the dogs, get past the security cameras, get past the alarm systems, get past the deadbolts. If they're that determined to come in a home invasion and come into your house, as they did in my house, they busted out my door and glass in broad daylight. If they're that determined, I don't think wasp spray is going to be enough deterrent to keep you and your family safe. I really don't. Same thing with pepper spray. Again, if the good guys can fight through it, so can the bad guys. And I've showed you, like with a ball bat or a golf club. People say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But what if you're not home? What if it's your wife or kids? And we need to really think about this and prepare for this situation, because I can't think of a worse situation to be in a home invasion, or somebody trying to kick in your door and you be unprepared or only have wasp spray. We pray to the good Lord above that it never happens to us again. Anything like that, we pray to the good Lord it never happens to you. But the fact is, we live in a dangerous society, we live in a dangerous world, and it just pays to be prepared. And these are just some thoughts I'd like for you to think about and just take into consideration when you hear about the non-lethal ways to protect yourself. And just do research and just kind of look into it, and just put yourself in that situation. Am I really doing the best I can for my family to keep them safe and secure? And in the event something like that would happen, what are we going to do? Again, depending on law enforcement, they'll tell you they can't be everywhere. And you need to take steps, and you need to take precautions yourself, because ultimately it's your responsibility to keep you and your family safe. That's what the Second Amendment's for. I understand the right to keep and bear arms for the government and tyranny, but it's also for personal protection, to keep us safe. And we're thankful for that right. And and to me, I believe it's a right that needs to be exercised. And if it's exercised correctly, I believe it can keep our family and our friends safe. That's the ultimate goal. And we love you. God bless you again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching our channel. And please, if you have any comments, I know there's some great guys out there, and really good instructors, and really good internet people out there. And I value your opinions. I really do. I value your tips. And there's a lot of things people will comment or say, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad they did. I didn't think of that. Or let's put our ideas together. But please keep your comments family friendly. If you're not an NRA member, I do urge you to join the NRA. May God bless you, the Kentucky Patriot. Signing off.